Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of this podcast called The Dictionary. I should probably look up if there's any holidays today. That doesn't mean that the list that I'm looking at is has everything, but it has some. In Alaska, today is Seward's Day, whatever that is. All right, the first word for this episode is bead, B-E-A-D. It is the second form. It is a verb from 1577. 1. To furnish, adorn, or cover with beads or beading. Did I say that we are starting with the transitive verbs definitions? No, I don't think I did. Number 2, to string together like beads. And then the intransitive definition says to form into a bead. And beader is a noun. Now we have, I just realized something. At the end of the episode, I talked about why we have these two different things. We've got prayer, and then we've got beads, blah, blah, blah. But I realized that the prayer definitions are specifically about the beads on a rosary. It went from prayer, and then they called the beads. I don't know. Anyway, I made a connection in my brain that I really, really had to tell you about. I hope my mood is a little bit better than the last episode. I just recorded it, so let's be happy, people. Yay. Next word is beading. Noun from 1845. 1. A beaded molding. Number 2. Material or a part or a piece consisting of a bead. Number 3. An open work trimming. And number 4. Synonym is beadwork. Next is beetle. This is spelled B-E-A-D-L-E. It's not the beetle that has lots of legs and maybe wings and crawls around on your face, and then it gets in your ear, and you don't like that. This is a noun from 1581. A minor parish official whose duties include ushering and preserving order at services and sometimes civil functions. This is from Middle English, bedel or beadle, spelled B-E-D-E-L, and that means messenger. From Old English, beidel, akin to the Old High German butel, which means bailiff. Old English, beadan, something, which means to command, and there's more at the word bid. Now we have bedroll, beadroll, something, B-E-A-D-R-O-L-L, one word, beadroll. Noun from 1529. 1. A list of names. Synonym is catalog. Number 2. Synonym is rosary. This is from the reading in church of a list of names of persons for whom prayers are to be said. Okay, now we have beadsman. Noun from the 13th century. It is archaic. One who prays for another. Next is beadwork. One word. Noun from 1751. 1. Ornamental work in beads. Number 2. Joinery beading. I got an itch. Now we have the word beady. It is an adjective from 1826. 1A. Resembling beads. 1B, small, round, and shiny with interest or greed, as in beady eyes. Number 2, marked by bubbles or beads, as in a beady liquor. Beadily is an adverb. Now we have the word beagle. Noun from the 15th century. Any of a breed of small, short-legged, smooth-coated, often black, white, and tan hounds. I know the dog Snoopy in Peanuts is a beagle, but I don't really know how much he actually looks like a beagle. I mean, granted, he probably looks like a beagle just as much as the human characters look like human children. But yeah, I remember when I saw Beagle for the first time, I was like, he doesn't look like Snoopy at all. We should make a realistic version of all those characters in Snoopy, and yeah. Let's see. Now we have the word beak, B-E-A-K. It is a noun from the 13th century. 1A, the bill of a bird, especially a strong, short, broad bill. 1B1, the elongated, sucking mouth of some insects. as the true bugs. True bugs? They're not false bugs, they're true bugs. Now we have 1B2. Any of various rigid projecting mouth structures, as of a turtle. Also, I think squids and octopi. 1C, the human nose. Yeah, I guess you could call that a beak. Number 2, a pointed structure or formation. 2A, a metal pointed beam projecting from the bow or bow, especially of an ancient galley for piercing an enemy ship. 2B, the spout of a vessel. 2C, a continuous slight architectural projection ending in an arris. Arris is spelled A-R-R-I-S. And then it says to see the molding illustration. 2D, a process suggesting the beak of a bird. Number 3 is chiefly British. We've got 3A, synonym is magistrate. And 3B, the synonym is headmaster. Beaked with an ED is an adjective, and beaky is also an adjective. Let's see, this is Middle English. The word is maybe pronounced beak, but it is spelled B-E-C. From Anglo-French, from Latin, becus, and it is of Gaulish origin. Gaulish? G-A-U-L-I-S-H. I don't know what Gaulish is. Let's see. Now we have beaked whale. 2 words. Noun from 1755. Any of a widely distributed family of medium-sized toothed whales that have an elongated snout and a small dorsal fin. The family name is Ziphiidae. Hey, it sounds weird, but I don't think I'm too far off. Ziphiidae. How do you do the double I? Is it Ziphiidae? I don't know. Okay, now we are going to move on to the word beaker. Oh, beaker. Beaker talks like me, 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 me. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1, a large drinking cup that has a wide mouth and is sometimes supported on a standard. 2, a deep, wide-mouthed, thin-walled vessel, usually with a lip for pouring, that is used especially in science laboratories or laboratories. This is from Middle English, biker, from the Old Norse, bakar, probably from the Old S. Old S. What is that? I really, really should put something here every time. Hold on a second. Old Saxon. Old Saxon. Stand by. So that is probably from the Old Saxon bacari, from Middle Latin bacarium. And now we have the last word for this episode. It is be-all and end-all. The be-all has a hyphen. The second word is and then the end-all has a hyphen. It is a noun from 1605. 1, prime cause, essential element. And then number 2 is the number 1 definition for totality. Well, that was it for this episode. It was kind of short. Let's see, bidjabal, with lots of B words. Let us pick the word beagle as the word of the episode, because beagles are great. Thank you very much for listening. Should I tell you of another podcast that I'm listening to? Sure, why not? What's the harm that could happen with that? I think the last one I told you was that one, so now we are going to say I'm listening to In Bed with Nick and Megan. That is, I wonder why they chose Nick first and Megan. Megan and Nick and Megan. Her picture's on the left, so you'd probably want to say Megan first. But she's very kind, and she always tries to make him be the star of the show. But I don't know, she kind of takes control and is kind of, in my mind, more of the host. But they're both awesome. That is, of course, Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally. And they always have a guest, and they record it in their bed, and they are hilarious and smart, and I like them. So yeah, that's a good podcast. You should go listen to that. that is it. I'm going to go probably record another episode. And this has been Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of this podcast called The Dictionary. Are you sick of me saying that phrase over and over again? I'm a little sick of saying it over and over again. Let's raise this level. That seems a little bit low. Ha 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 ha. Ooh, I didn't do my warm-ups. And let's turn the headphones down. Okay, today, March 31st. Happy March. Hopefully there's still a world out there. First word for this episode is beam, B-E-A-M. This is a noun from before the 12th century. 1a, a long piece of heavy, often squared timber suitable for use in construction. 1b, a wood or metal cylinder in a loom on which the warp is wound. Wound, yes, in which the warp is wound. 1c, the part of a plow to which handles, standard, and coulter are attached. 1d, the bar of a balance from which scales hang. 1e, one of the principal horizontal supporting members as of a building or ship, as in a steel beam supporting a floor. Also, the synonyms boom and spar, as in the beam of a crane. 1f, the extreme width of a ship at the widest part. 1g, an oscillating lever or lever on a central axis, receiving motion at one end from an engine connecting rod and transmitting it at the other. 2a, a ray or shaft of light. And 2b, a collection of nearly parallel rays, as X-rays, or a stream of particles, as electrons. 2c, a constant directional radio signal transmitted for the guidance of pilots, also the course indicated by a radio beam. 3, the main stem of a deer's antler. 4, the width of the buttocks. What? The width of your buttocks is the beam? Okay, that's fascinating. We have a phrase, on the beam. 1, following a guiding beam. And 2, proceeding or operating correctly. Now we have the second form of beam. It is a verb from the 15th century. Transitive definitions are first. 1, to emit in beams or as a beam. 2, to support with beams. 3a, to transmit, especially by satellite. Synonym is broadcast. 3b, to transmit data electronically. So the actual definition just says to transmit electronically. 3c, to direct to a particular audience. Now we have the intransitive definitions. 1, to send out beams of light. 2, to smile with joy. Now we have beam ends. BEAM ENDS. It is a noun from 1750. The ends of a ship's beams. And there is a phrase, on her beam ends. And that means inclined so much on one side that the beams approach a vertical position. I think that's all about stuff on a boat. And I don't know sailing and ships and things like that. Now we have beamish. It is an adjective from 1870. Beaming and bright with optimism, promise, or achievement, as in a beamish boy. Beamishly is an adverb. Next is beam sea. 2 words. Sea is spelled S-E-A, like from sea to shining sea. Noun from 1861. A sea whose surface motion is approximately at a right angle to the course of a vessel. Now we have beam splitter. 2 words. Noun from 1935. A mirror or prism or a combination of the two that is used to divide a beam of radiation into 2 or more parts. Next is beamy. Adjective from 14th century. 1, emitting beams of light. synonym is radiant. Number 2, broad in the beam, as in a beamy cargo ship. Next is the word bean, B-E-A-N. It is the first form of two. It's a noun from before the 12th century. 1A, synonym is broad bean. 1B, the seed of any of various erect or climbing plants of the legume family other than the broad bean. And there's an example, or a couple examples of the genera of these are Phaseolus, and Vigna. Let's see. Next is 1C, a plant bearing beans. 1D, an immature bean pod used as a vegetable. 2A, a valueless item. 2B is plural, the least amount, as in, didn't know beans about it. Number 3, any of various seeds or fruits that resemble beans or bean pods, as in coffee beans. Also, a plant producing these. 4A is plural. We have the synonym exuberance, and it is used in the phrase full of beans. That means you are full of exuberance. 4B is also plural. Synonyms are nonsense and bunkum, used in the phrase full of beans. Again, how can you use it twice? I don't know. They just did. Okay, cool. Number 5, synonyms are head and brain. That's your bean. Number 6, a protuberance on the upper mandible of waterfowl. And then it says to see the duck illustration. Sweet, there's a duck illustration. Let's see, let's look at the etymology. It's not terribly interesting, so we are going to move on to the second form of bean. It is a transitive verb from 1910, to strike a person on the head with an object. Now we have beanbag, one word, noun from 1871. 1, a cloth bag partially filled typically with dried beans and used as a toy. Number 2, any of various pellet-filled bags used as furniture, as a chair, or household articles, as an ashtray base. They use beanbags and ashtray as ashtray bases? Okay. I think I need a beanbag in my house. Now we have beanball, one word, noun from circa 1905, a pitch thrown at a batter's head. Oh, well, that's not very nice. Next is bean counter, 2 words, noun from 1975, a person involved in corporate or government financial decisions, and especially one reluctant to spend money. Next is bean curd, C-U-R-D. That is 2 words. It is a noun from circa 1885, and we just have the synonym tofu. I wonder where the word tofu came from. Let's see. Next we have beanery. It is a noun from 1887, and we have the synonym restaurant. A lot of restaurants are closed right now or only doing pickup and delivery. Very strange. Now we have the word beanie, B-E-A-N-I-E. It is a noun from 1904, a small, round, tight-fitting skull cap. Next we have beano. It is the first form. It is a noun from 1891. British, by the way. A noisy, festive celebration. They call that a beano? This says it's an alternative of bean feast, which is a festive occasion. It was too hard to say bean feast, so they just said beano. Now we have the second form of beano. It is a noun from 1935, and we just have the synonym bingo. Bingo was his name-o. Also, Beano was his name-o, I guess. Next we have bean pole, one word, noun from 1798. 1, a pole up which bean vines may climb. A pole up? What? That doesn't make sense, does it? A pole up, up which? A pole up which bean vines may climb. That makes more sense. Number 2, a tall, thin person. And next we have bean sprouts. 2 words, noun from 1921. The sprouts of bean seeds, especially of the mung bean, used as a vegetable. I never liked eating sprouts. I just didn't think that they tasted very good. But I've realized that sprouts are very, very, very healthy for you. And you can always put in other stuff to mask the blandness of them. But they are healthy because they are the small versions of what that thing will turn into eventually. Could be lots of things. Could be broccoli or beans or whatever. And they are so healthy because they have all of that energy and all the nutrients packed into a very small body, a very small package. And so you can eat a little bit and get a whole lot of nutrients. So things that are sprouts and things that are sprouted are very good for you. All right, next and last word for this episode is bean thread. It's the word bean, second word thread. Noun from 1977, and we just have the synonym cellophane noodle. So I think that's a noodle that is almost clear or semi-clear. Might be wide. I don't know. They call it a bean thread also. Let's see. What is going to be the word of the episode? We are going to pick bean bag as the word of the episode because bean bags are great. Yeah, so that was it. The next episodes might sound different because I was just notified that the place that I record in is closed for further notice because of this stupid COVID-19 thing that's going on. So I don't know where I'm going to record or when I'm going to record. It'll probably be at home, so the sound quality is just going to be different. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. I don't even know what to say anymore. This has been Spencer dispensing information. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to a very special episode of this podcast called The Dictionary. It probably sounds weird because this is the first episode. Well, actually, no, it's not the first episode, but it's the first episode I'm recording at home during the quarantine. I know that this is going to be posted like over a week from now. But yeah, it sounds a little bit echoey to me. Yeah, so what's been going on with you? How is April 1st? Happy April Fool's Day. Happy birthday, Sam. I hope that things have been cleared up a little bit since last we talked. This doesn't make any sense. Today is March 24th when I'm recording this, and, we're still in the middle. I've been working at home for 2 days. My wife and I broke out the Wii a few days ago, so we played some Wii bowling and Wii golf and Wii tennis. We've been trying to do some exercising at home. I hope that you all are doing the same. We've been doing some push-ups and planks and squats and ab things, and, our workout place is closed. So it's a really, really weird time, and I hope, I don't want to talk about it too much because for all I know, things could be totally fine by the time this airs. Chances are they won't be. So we're just going to talk about some words. Well, actually, we're only going to talk about one word. It is the word bear, B-E-A-R. We are going to read 2 forms of it, and, just to... we're just going to leave it at that. Okay, so this is a noun from before the 12th century. Number 1 could be plural as the word bear, so singular or plural, bear, I don't know. It says, any of a family of large, heavy mammals of America and Eurasia that have long, shaggy hair, rudimentary tails, and plantigrade feet and feed largely on fruit, plant matter, and insects, as well as on flesh. That's interesting. I never really thought about how much they ate non-meat, but, they eat a lot of fruit, plants, and insects. I guess insects technically could be considered meat, although not really. I guess that's up for debate. And the family name is Ursidae, and it is of the order Carnivora. And then we have number 2, a surly, uncouth, burly, or shambling person, as in a tall, friendly bear of a man. Number 3, and we'll read the etymology of that after because it has its own etymology. Number 3 says one that sells securities or commodities in expectation of a price decline, compared to the word bull, B-U-L-L. The etymology for that one says probably from the proverb about, in italics, selling the bearskin before catching the bear. Selling the bearskin before catching the bear. And there's another phrase like that, isn't there? Like, don't count your chickens before they hatch. No, there's another one. Selling the something before the something. I don't know. Now we have number 4. Something difficult to do or deal with. As in, the oven is a bear to clean. Bear-like is an adjective. And the etymology for the whole thing is from the Middle English bear, B-E-R-E, from the Old English bera, akin to the Old English brun, B-R-U-N, with a horizontal line over the U, and that means brown, and there's more at the word brown. So that is bears. I think I can probably find a picture of a bear to post on the Instagram. Oh, speaking of Instagram, I just, 8 days earlier, I just posted a picture of me sitting at my dining room table with my whole setup, saying about to record my first quarantine episodes. All right, now we have the second form of bear, and this will be the last word of the episode. It is a verb. There are some other forms of it. Bore, B-O-R-E. I think that would be the past form. Another couple past forms are born, with or without an E. And then bearing would be a present form. And this is, like I said, a verb from before the 12th century. We are going to start with the transitive definitions. And as I mentioned, this is the last word, so there is a lot to read. 1A, to move while holding up and supporting. 1B, to be equipped or furnished with. 1C, synonyms are behave and conduct, as in bearing himself well. 1D, to have as a feature or characteristic, as in bears a likeness to her grandmother. That's really interesting. I don't know if it's common, but at least in my family, it seems that likenesses kind of skip a generation, which seems odd when you think about it in terms of genetics. But my sister looks a whole lot like my one grandma did when she was at that age. Like, we've got pictures of my grandma when she was maybe 15. And when my sister was 15, even today, they look a lot alike. Same with one of my cousins on my dad's side. He looks a lot like our grandpa. And then another cousin on my mom's side looks a lot like my grandpa on that side. And then my cousin, female, those were both males. And then my female cousin on my dad's side looks a lot like my grandma does on that side. Anyway, you were super curious about that, weren't you? But I don't know. It's just interesting that I think this is pretty common in people, and I'm not sure why. Now we have 1E, to give as testimony, as in bear false witness. 1F, to have as an identification, and then this is the past form, as in bore the name of John. 1G, to hold in the mind or emotions, as in bear malice. And then just as a reminder, bear is B-E-A-R. Now we have 1H. Synonym is disseminate. What did I say? 1H? Yeah, now we have 1I. Synonyms are lead or led and escort. I think it could be lead or led, present or past. And then escort is the other one. Now we have 1J. Synonyms are render and give. Now we have 2A. To give birth to. 2B. To produce as yield. 2C1, to permit growth of. 2C2, synonym is contain, as in oil-bearing shale. Now we have 3A, to support the weight of. Synonym is sustain. 3B, to accept or allow oneself to be subjected to, especially without giving way, as in couldn't bear the pain. Also as in, I can't bear seeing you cry. 3C, to call for as suitable or essential, as in, it bears watching. Next is 3D, to hold above, on top, or aloft. Next is 3E, to admit of. Synonym is allow. Next is 3F. Synonyms are assume and accept. Now we have number 4. Synonyms are thrust and press. Those were all the transitive definitions. Now we have some intransitive definitions. Don't worry, there's a lot less of those. But then we have some phrases, and then we have some synonym information. So we've got all the things going on in this one. All right, intransitive definitions. Number 1, to produce fruit. Synonym is yield. To A, to force one's way. To B, to extend in a direction indicated or implied. I just had a freak out for a second. I looked at my recorder to make sure it was recording, and it is recording. Yay, I don't have to redo all of this. Okay, now we have to A. Did I say that? To force one's way. To B, to extend in a direction indicated. Oh, yeah, I read that one too. To C, to be situated. Synonym is lie. To D, to become directed. To E, to go or incline in an indicated direction. Number 3, to support a weight or strain, and that is often used with the word up, bear up. Now we have 4A, to exert influence or force. 4B, synonyms are apply and pertain, and that is often used with the words on or upon, as in facts bearing on the question. Our first phrase is bear a hand, and that means to join in and help out. Right now, I think we could all bear a hand, give a hand, join in, help out in any way we can, because there are a lot of people who really need help. I and my wife are super lucky to have jobs and have good health in general. And there's a lot of people, though, who don't have good health, who don't have jobs, who are struggling. And please, if you can in any way, financially, physically, going shopping for somebody, especially the elderly, go do that, please. Okay, our next phrase is bear arms. Number 1, to carry or possess arms. And those are not the things that are coming out of your torso. You usually have 1 or 2 of them. Those are guns. Now we have number 2, to serve as a soldier. Next we have the phrase bear fruit, and that means to come to satisfying fruition. I am blanking on how this gets going over the second line. To come to satisfying fruition, production or development. Next we have the phrase bear in mind, and that means to think of, especially as a warning. Synonym is remember. And then our final phrase is bear with, to be indulgent, patient, or forbearing with. So those were our phrases. And then finally, we have the synonym information. Bear, suffer, endure, or endure, abide, tolerate, stand, mean to put up with something trying or painful. Bear usually implies the power to sustain without flinching or breaking, as in forced to bear a tragic loss. Suffer often suggests acceptance or passivity rather than courage or patience in bearing, as in suffering many insults. No one should have to do that. Endure, I don't even know how to say that word anymore. Endure implies continuing firm or resolute through trials and difficulties, as in endured years of rejection. Abide suggests acceptance without resistance or protest, as in cannot abide their rudeness. Also as in, I am making this one up, the dude abides. Tolerate suggests overcoming or successfully controlling an impulse to resist, avoid, or resent something injurious or distasteful, as in refused to tolerate such treatment. Stand emphasizes even more strongly the ability to bear without discomposure or flinching, as in unable to stand teasing. I am unable to stand teasing. So I guess the word of the episode will be bear. bear. That was weird. So that's all I got. No, this is not a practical April Fool's joke. This is actually what we are going through in this world, and that episode actually only had one word. And yeah, I hope that you are all doing well and holding up, and let's see what April brings. I hope something better. So this has been Spencer dispensing information. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of this podcast. I am recording this immediately after I recorded yesterday's episode. The cats are still napping. They are completely unimpressed with this most amazing podcast, the only podcast in the world that I'm aware of where somebody is reading the entire dictionary. Why are they doing this? Can you tell me? No, you cannot. Okay, the first word is bearable. bearable. It is an adjective from circa 1550, capable of being borne. borne. Bearability is a noun, and bearably is an adverb. Next, we have bear baiting. One word. It is a noun from the 14th century. The practice of setting dogs on a chained bear. What? I don't like that. Next is bearberry. Bearberry. I want to say bearberry or berry, but I don't know. It's the word bear with the word berry. It is a noun from 1625, a trailing evergreen plant of the heath family with astringent foliage and red berries. Yeah, we'll have to find a photo of that one. The scientific name is Arctostaphylos uva ursi. Uva ursi. There's a hyphen in uva ursi. Uva and then ursi. Why is it called a bearberry? There's no etymology here. Next we have bear claw, two words, noun from 1936, a filled pastry that is cut and fanned to resemble a bear's foot. And if we look at the last episode, let's see, it said that their feet are plantigrade. Plantigrade. I don't know what that means, but you could say that a bear claw is plantigrade, maybe? It probably has something to do with the fact that their toes and their foot are very, it seems to me, very like flat and fanned out. Maybe that's what it is, maybe not. Looks like a plant, looks like a flower, who knows? Next is the word beard. Noun from before the 12th century. 1. The hair that grows on a man's face, often excluding the mustache. Number 2. A hairy or bristly appendage or tuft. Number 3. We have the 7a definition for the word front. Bearded is an adjective, beardedness is a noun, and beardless is an adjective. Could you be beardful? Probably not. You just say you have a beard. Bearded. You'd be bearded. Let's see, this is Middle English, beard, B-E-R-D, from Old English, beard, akin to the Old High German Bart, B-A-R-T, which means beard, and then from the Latin barba. Now we have the second form of beard. It is a transitive verb from the 15th century. 1. To confront and oppose with boldness, resolution, and often effrontery. And a synonym is defy. Number 2. To furnish with a beard. What, like you're furnishing your face with a beard? Okay. Next we have bearded collie. 2 words, noun from 1880. Any of a breed of large herding dogs of Scottish origin that have a long, rough coat and drooping ears. Next is bearded iris, noun from 1923. Any of numerous wild or cultivated irises with a growth of short hairs on each fall. I assume that the irises are the plant, the flower, but I'm not sure what a fall is, so I'm going to have to look up a picture of these guys. Next, we have bearded seal, 2 words, noun from 1853. A large Arctic hair seal with a tuft of long whiskers on each side of the muzzle. There is a picture of this bearded seal. It looks like a seal with a very large mustache, larger than most men, or I'll just say humans, can grow. Let's see, the scientific name for this Arctic hair seal is Erignothus barbatus. Yeah. Now we have bear down. 2 words. Transitive, no, just a verb from the 14th century. The transitive definition, there's just one of them. It has the synonyms overcome, and overwhelm. And then our intransitive definition says to exert full strength and concentrated attention. We have a phrase, bear down on. Number 1, synonym is emphasize. And number 2, to weigh heavily on. Synonym is burden. Next we have beard tongue. Or no, I think it's just bird tongue, but it's spelled like beard. Let's just double check that. I think beard. Yeah, no, it's spelled that way. Beard. Bird. How? So I disagree with the pronunciation guide, although they are much smarter than me, the people who put this together. I would have put like a long E sound instead of the I in the pronunciation thing. Beard. But they wrote it bird. I don't know. Okay, so I guess this is beard tongue. It is one word. It is a noun from 1821, and the synonym is penstemon. 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 Not sure what that is. Next, we have bearer. It is a noun from the 13th century, one that bears, as A, the number 1 definition for porter, and B, a plant yielding fruit, and C, the synonym is pallbearer, and then D, one holding a check, draft, bond, or other order for payment, especially if marked payable to bearer. And that is often used attributively, as in bearer bonds. So it's whoever has the bonds. Next we have bear grass, 2 words, noun from 1750. Any of several plants, there's a bunch of scientific names, of the lily or agave families, chiefly of the southern and western U.S. with foliage resembling coarse blades of grass. The scientific genera names are Yucca, Nolina, or Xerophyllum. That is with an X. Xerophyllum. Next we have bear hug. It is 2 words with a hyphen. It is a transitive verb from 1927, to embrace in a bear hug. Who was the first one in 1927 to make up this word bear hug? What was the situation? Were they actually hugging a bear? Or was there a very large person who gave them a hug? I don't know why I thought of that, but I think it had something to do with the fact that there is a book, I think it's called 1927 or something, and it's all about the year 1927. I think mostly America, but a little bit of other countries too, and it was kind of a big year. There was a lot of things that happened in politics and government, in baseball, in aviation. It was a big time. Okay, next we have bear hug. Again, it is 2 words, no hyphen, noun from 1921, a rough, tight embrace. What is the difference between these? Oh, one's a noun, you are having a bear hug, and the other one is a verb. You are bear hugging. Okay, last word for this episode is bearing, bearing. It is a noun from the 13th century. Number 1, the manner in which one bears or comports oneself. 2a, the act, power, or time of bringing forth offspring or fruit. 2b, a product of bearing. Synonym is crop. 3a, an object, surface, or point that supports. 3b, a machine part in which another part, as a journal or pin, turns or slides. 4, a figure borne on a heraldic field. 5, the synonyms are pressure and thrust. I said it like that because that's how they said it in the movie Chicken Run, or at least one character did. You could also just say thrust, a very normal way. Normal for my accent, at least. 6a, the situation or horizontal direction of one point with respect to another or to the compass. 6b, a determination of position. 6c is plural, comprehension of one's position, environment, or situation. 6d, synonyms are relation and connection. And then it says also the synonym purport. P-U-R-P-O-R-T. Purport. I don't know why that third one is separated from the other two, but hey, there must be some reason. And then number 7, the part of a structural member that rests on its supports. Now we have some synonym information to finish up this episode. Bearing, deportment, demeanor, mien, manner, carriage mean the outward manifestation of personality or attitude. Bearing is the most general of these words, but now usually implies characteristic posture, as in a woman of regal bearing. Deportment suggests actions or behavior as formed by breeding or training, as in, your deportment was atrocious. Ooh, I would hate it if somebody said that to me, although they'd probably be right. Demeanor suggests one's attitude toward another as expressed in outward behavior, as in, the haughty demeanor of the head waiter. You have to say that with a British accent. The haughty demeanor of the head waiter. That was weird. Mien, by the way, is spelled M-I-E-N. Mien is a literary term, yep, I said that right, a literary term referring both to bearing and demeanor, as in, a mien of supreme self-satisfaction. Manner, M-A-N-N-E-R, implies characteristic or customary way of moving and gesturing and addressing others, as in, the imperious manner of a man used to giving orders. Carriage applies chiefly to habitual posture in standing or walking, period, as in the kind of carriage learned at boarding school. What will be the word of the episode? I'm going to pick beard tongue, all one word, as the word of the episode because I don't know what that is. I don't know what a penstemon is. I need to go look this up. I'm not going to wait until the P's. I think I'm actually going to go look it up before that. So yeah, I hope you are all still doing well and not going crazy during this weird time. Would you like me to tell you of another podcast that I'm listening to? Well, I think I did that, and I think I said that. I have mentioned this before, but not during this. Alan Alda has a really great podcast called Clear and Vivid. It's Clear, the plus sign, and Vivid. And it is all about science, communication, not all science, I take that back. It's all about communication and empathy, and there is a lot of science in it, but he basically just has, 30, 45-minute conversations with people, some you've heard of, some you haven't, and it's, it's about whatever they want to talk about, but it has this lean towards sort of communication with others, and he's really great, and he's really smart, and all the people he has on are great and smart, and so I highly recommend that one. So that is it. I'm going to end this episode right now, and this has been Spencer dispensing information into your brain. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the only podcast where somebody is reading the dictionary. If you think that other people should know about this, then you should go tell them. And if you don't think that people should know about this, and you think nobody should ever hear it again, I think you should also tell people and say, hey, stay away from this podcast. That's what I do. So my work day is over. I went for a short jog. I did a little grocery shopping. I stayed away from all the people. I'm showered, thank God. I was stinky, and now I am recording an episode just for you. This will be a little short because the next one will be a little long. The first word is bearing rain. B-E-A-R-I-N-G. Second word, R-E-I-N. I assume it's pronounced rain. It is a noun from 1795, and we have the number one definition for the word check rein. as a synonym. So that's just the word check, and then rain again. I guess it could be reen, but it's all one word. And when I see it, just at a glance, it looks like the word chicken, or chicken rain, chicken run, chicken, chicken, chicken. Okay, moving on to bearish. It is an adjective from 1744. 1. Resembling a bear in build or in roughness, gruffness, or surliness, as in a bearish man. 2a. Marked by tending to cause or fearful of falling prices, as in a stock market, as in bearish investors. 2b. We have the synonym pessimistic. Bearishly is an adverb, and bearishness is a noun. The stocks have definitely been a little crazy recently, if you're into that sort of thing. Now we have bear market, 2 words. It is a noun from 1858, a market in which securities or commodities are persistently declining in value. Compare to a bull market. I've heard these terms thrown about, but because I'm not into the market and the stocks, I never knew what they are. So I guess what I'm guessing is that a bear market is when things are going down, and a bull market is when things are going up. And I hope that I'm right. The etymology says this is from the first form of the word bear, which we read two episodes ago, I think. And I lost my place. And that says one that sells in expectation of a price decline. So if you've got stocks and you see that things are going, or you think that things are going to go down, then you are a bear and you sell so you can make some money before the prices get too low. And then I guess you would be a bull when you see that the stocks are going to go up and you want to buy at the lowest price. Next, we have béarnaise sauce. Bear with an accent over the E, and then N-A-I-S-E at the end of the word bear, béarnaise, and then sauce is its own word, as it should be. This is a noun from 1869, a sauce of egg yolks and butter flavored with shallots, wine, vinegar, and seasonings. This is a French word, béarnaise, which is a feminine of the word béarnaise, probably pronounced differently, but it has no E at the end, and that is from Béarn, France. B-E-A-R-N. Béarn became béarnaise. What does béarnaise mean exactly? It doesn't say. Does it mean sauce? Does it mean something else? I don't know. But there's other sauces that end in aise or naise, but I can't think of any right off the top of my head because I am not a chef. Next, we have bear out, 2 words, verb from the 15th century. We have these synonyms confirm and verify. It's actually a transitive verb. And then we have an example, a theory borne out by data. And of course, that's the past form of bear out, a theory borne out by data, confirmed or verified. Next, we have bear skin, 1 word, noun from the 14th century. An article made of the skin of a bear, especially a military hat made of the skin of a bear. Military hats are made from the skin of a bear too? That must have been a thing at some point to show that you are better than the bear, which you are not. Next is bear up, 2 words. A transitive verb from 1606. We have the synonyms, darn it, dictionary, it's just a verb. And the transitive definitions are first. The synonyms are support and encourage. And then the intransitive definition, to summon up courage, resolution, or strength, as in bearing up under the strain. I have a terrible joke in my head, bearing up under the strain, and while you're straining, you're bearing down. It's an interesting dichotomy of bearing up, bear down. Never mind. Moving on to the word beast. It is a noun from the 13th century. 1a, a 4-footed mammal as distinguished from a human being, a lower vertebrate and an invertebrate. A lower vertebrate and an invertebrate? How is that possible? Or are they just different options? 1b, a lower animal as distinguished from a human being. 1c, an animal as distinguished from a plant. 1d, an animal under human control. 2, a contemptible person. 3, something formidably difficult to control or deal with. This book is a beast. This is from Middle English, beast or beste, B-E-S-T-E, from Anglo-French, from Latin, bestia. Next is the word beast, epic, 2 words. It's the 2 words, not the 1 word, it's the 2 words. It is a noun from 1843, a poem with epic conventions in which animals speak and act like human beings. That reminds me of a book that I've never read, and I really should read it, and I really should probably see the films made of it, which would be Animal Farm. I have a memory of this book in like maybe 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, one of those. We had a reading class in junior high, and I was, I'm a fine reader, but not compared to other people when it comes to comprehension and see this. I'm proving my point. I'm not so good with metaphors, abstract thinking. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I got put in the slightly lower class of reading, and the higher class was able to read books like Animal Farm. But no, I wasn't allowed to read Animal Farm because I wasn't so smart. So I don't remember what I read. But now, look at me, Ma, I'm reading the dictionary. Okay, next word is beast, fable. It is a noun from 1840, a usually didactic prose or verse fable in which animals speak and act like human beings. Maybe that would be a more accurate description of Animal Farm. One of those. Next is beastie, noun from 1714. Synonyms are beast, animal, and critter. Your bestie, if your bestie is an animal, then they'd be your beastie. Next we have beastings with an ing, not bee stings, although it almost looks like that. It's, funny, it is a variation of bee stings. I thought it was something with a beast, but it's bee stings. This version is spelled B-E-A, and then it's a variation of B-E-E. Have you ever had a bee sting? Those suck. I don't remember this, but when I was about 3 years old, I supposedly got stung on the lip by a bee. What did I say? Stung on the lip by a bee. And my parents were afraid that my lip was going to explode, and it didn't. Man, I wish they got pictures of that. That would have been hilarious. Next, we have the first form of beastly. This is the last word, but we are going to read the second form in this episode. You know what? It's not the last one. I thought that was a phrase. Nope. Hold on. Hold on a second. Hold up. This is not the last word, but it is the word beastly. The first form, adjective from the 14th century. 1, we have the number 1 definition for the word bestial or bestial. B-E-S-T-I-A-L. Number 2, we have the synonyms abominable and disagreeable, as in beastly weather. Beastliness is a noun. Now we have the second form of beastly. It is an adverb from the 15th century. We have the synonym very, as in a beastly cold day. And now we have the last word or phrase of this episode. It is beast of burden, 3 words from 1740, an animal employed to carry heavy loads or to perform other heavy work, as pulling a plow. So, what is the word of the episode? Again, why am I not thinking of this while I'm actually going? Sometimes one just jumps out at me. But we will pick, now do I want to go with that, or do I want to go with that? I hope you're having a happy quarantine in this early April. I assume it's still going on. Okay, we are going to pick beast, fable, as the word of the episode because I got bored trying to think, and I just picked one. That's it. I think that's it. I think we're going to stop there. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have been enjoying this. Go rate and review. Do all the things. Send me a comment, a message on one of the platforms in the episode description. And I hope you are washing your hands and doing very well. This has been Spencer dispensing information into your brains. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the podcast called The Dictionary. Yeah, we're at the stage where we're getting a little delirious. I hope to have my wife on one of these episodes coming up as a guest if she wants to, because we are holed up in our apartment for who knows how many days. So she's kind of the only guest I can have, unless the cats would like to be a guest. Hey, Bailey, you want to be a guest? She's sleeping. Okay, the first word is beat, B-E-A-T. It is this is the first form. It is a verb from before the 12th century. We are going to start with the transitive definitions, and this is probably one of, if not the longest section I have seen. The first form of beat takes up almost an entire half of a column. So let's get into it. Number 1, to strike repeatedly. 1A, to hit repeatedly so as to inflict pain, often used with the word up. Beat up. 1B, to walk on. Synonym is tread, as in beat the pavement looking for work. 1C, to strike directly against forcefully and repeatedly. Dash against. That is an add-on to the end of the definition. 1D, to flap. To flap or thrash at vigorously. 1E, to strike at in order to rouse game. Also, to range over in or as if in quest of game. 1F, to mix by stirring. Synonym is whip, often used with the word up. Beat up, again. Well, now we have 1G, to strike repeatedly in order to produce music or a signal, as in beat a drum. 2A, to drive or force by blows, as in beat back his attackers. 2B, to pound into a powder, paste, or pulp. Oh, so many P sounds in that one. Now we have 2C, to make by repeated treading or driving over, as in beat a path. 2D1, to dislodge by repeated hitting, as in beat dust from the carpet. 2D2, to lodge securely by repeated striking, as in beat a stake into the ground. 2E, to shape by beating, as in beat swords into plowshares. What are plowshares? And why are you beating the swords into them? Especially to flatten thin by blows. So I wonder if that has to do with, it says to lodge shape, to shape by beating. So that's probably a blacksmith term, metalworking and such. Now we have 2F, to sound or express, especially by drumbeat. 3, to cause to strike or flap repeatedly, as in a bird beating its wings. 4A, synonyms are overcome and defeat. Also, the synonym surpass, and that is often used with the word out. 4B, to prevail despite. So you are prevailing despite something else, as in beat the odds. 4C, synonyms are bewilder and baffle, as in it beats me how she does it. Yeah, I don't know, somehow she does it. She doesn't seem like she's got the skills to do it, but somehow she does it. Beats me. 4D1 is next. Synonyms are fatigue and exhaust. No example on that one. 4D2, to leave dispirited, irresolute, or hopeless. 4E, how many definitions does this word have? 4E, synonyms are cheat and swindle. 5A1, to act ahead of, usually so as to forestall. 5A2, to report a news item in advance of. 5B, to come or arrive before. Like, this is my own example, like you beat the traffic or something like that. Now we have 5C. Synonym is circumvent, as in beat the system. 5D, to outmaneuver a defender and get free. 5E, to score against a goalkeeper. Number 6, to indicate by beating, as in beat the tempo. Those were the transitive definitions. Now we have the intransitive definitions. Not nearly as many. 1A. Yep, we're still recording. 1A. To become forcefully impelled. Synonym is dash. 1B. To glare or strike with oppressive intensity. 1C. To sustain distracting activity. 1D. To beat a drum. 2A1. Synonyms are pulsate and throb. 2A2. Synonym is tick. T-I-C-K. 2B. To sound upon being struck. 3A. To strike repeated blows, as in beating on the door. 3B. To strike the air. Synonym is flap. That's what the birds do. 3C. To strike cover in order to rouse game. Also, to range or scour for, or as if for game. Number 4. To progress with much difficulty. Number 5. To sail to windward by a series of tacks. Okay, so beatable is an adjective. Beat around the bush or beat about the bush or beat around the bush are phrases which mean to fail or refuse to come to the point in discourse. Next phrase, beat a retreat, and that means to leave in haste. You beat a retreat, like before everybody else leaves, you're gonna beat it. You're gonna get away before everybody else gets away, so it's not so crazy. Next phrase is beat it. Beat it, Number 1, to hurry away. Synonym is scram. And number 2, first beat it. Synonyms are hurry and rush. Have to give it a little shout out to Weird Al's version, Eat It. Next phrase, beat one's brains out. And that means to try intently to resolve something difficult by thinking. Oh, thinking is hard. Next phrase, beat the bushes. And that means to search thoroughly through all possible areas. Next phrase is beat the drum. To proclaim as meritorious or significant and publicize vigorously. Next phrase, beat the pants off. And that means to defeat or surpass overwhelmingly. We have another phrase. In fact, we have 3 more. Beat the rap. And that means to evade the penalties connected with an accusation or charge. 2 more phrases. Beat up on. And that means to attack physically or verbally. And 1 more phrase, to beat the band. And that means in a very energetic or forceful manner, as in talking away to beat the band. Well, that was 2/3 of this episode. Now let's talk about the second. Oh, you know what? There's some etymology. The Middle English, beten, from Old English, beatan, akin to the Old High German, bosan, which means to beat. Now we have the second form of beat. It is a noun from circa 1625, not nearly as long. 1a, a single stroke or blow, especially in a series. Also, the synonyms pulsation and tick. 1b, a sound produced by or as if by beating. 1c, a driving impact or force. Number 2, one swing of the pendulum or balance of a timepiece. 3a, a regularly traversed round. A regularly traversed round, as in the cop on the beat. I wonder where that phrase, how that word got into the cop world. Why do they say a cop on the beat? Just curious. 3b, a group of news sources that a reporter covers regularly. 4a, a metrical or rhythmic sense in poetry or music or the rhythmic effect of these stresses. 4b, the tempo indicated, as by a conductor, to a musical performer. 4c, the pronounced rhythm that is the characteristic driving force in some types of music, as jazz or rock. Also, the number 2 definition for the second form of the word rock. 5a, one that excels, as in, I've never seen the beat of it. Well, I am super confused by that one. 5b, the reporting of a news story ahead of competitors. Number 6, synonym is deadbeat. 7A, an act of beating to windward. 7B, one of the reaches so traversed. Synonym is tack, T-A-C-K. Number 8, each of the pulsations of amplitude produced by the union of sound or radio waves or electric currents having different frequencies. Number 9, an accented stroke, as of one leg or foot against the other in dancing. So an accented stroke in dancing. Number 10, synonym is moment, as in waited a beat before responding. Beatless is an adjective. So I just want to do a quick count here. The first form of beat had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41 definitions, not including the phrases. I'm sure that was super riveting to you. Hey, guess what? Now we have the third form of the word beat. It is an adjective from 1800. 1A, being in a state of exhaustion. Synonym is exhausted. 1B, sapped of resolution or morale. Number 2, it is often capitalized. Of, relating to, or being beatniks, as in beat poets. Fourth form of beat, it is a noun from 1957, and we have the synonym beatnik. Next is beatbox. It is a noun from 1971, an electronic device that adds a backbeat, manipulates sounds, and mimics musical instruments. Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that it was actually named after an actual electronic device. That's interesting to me. I am not a pro by any means, but I actually enjoy doing a little bit of beatboxing. Why I'm feeling a little embarrassed to give an example of this, maybe someday I will. You've often heard me make random weird rhythmic sounds in music before. But yeah, I feel like if I wanted to do it, I would do something cool and like layer it. Maybe someday. We'll see. All right, last word for this episode is beaten. B-E-A-T-E-N. It is an adjective from the 13th century. 1, hammered into a desired shape, as in beaten gold. Number 2, much trodden and worn smooth. Also, the synonym familiar, as in a beaten path. And then number 3, being in a state of exhaustion. Synonym is exhausted. Well, the word of the episode obviously has to be beatbox. That's the best one. And, I don't want to get this all spitty. All right, that's as much as I'm going to give you, and I actually cut something out. I broke my rule of no editing. So that is it. We finished the first column of page 107. We are actually going to read the entire second column in the next episode because it's kind of a weird column. That is going to be it for today. Let's talk about another podcast that I'm listening to. I don't want to give that to you every single day. What was the last one I said? I think it was that one. Next is Creative Processing with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. They haven't had any new episodes for a long time, but he gets into super interesting conversations about creativity with artists and makers and creative people from various walks of life and different arts. So that one's really cool, and I'm really, really patiently waiting for that to start coming back. The second season, I guess you'd call it. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Oh, that's not my phrase. My phrase is, this has been Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. I hope my beatboxing from the end of last episode didn't turn you away. Let's hear it for another episode. Yay! Okay, the first word is beaten biscuit. B-E-A-T-E-N. That's the first word. And the second word is B-I-S-C-U-I-T. It is a noun from 1836. A biscuit whose dough is lightened by beating and folding. Next is beater. Noun from the 14th century. One that beats, as 1A, the synonym egg beater. 1B, a rotary blade attached to an electric mixer. 1C, we have the number one definition for the word drumstick. Number 2, one who strikes bushes or other cover to rouse game. Number 3, a dilapidated old automobile. Synonym is clunker. I have a beater car in the garage right now. It won't start, and the car is 20 years old, maybe 20 and a half years old. It's about time, I think, for it to go live on the farm for the rest of its days, and because I don't think it's worth putting more money into it. Yep, that's the old beater that I've got, and gonna get a new beater to replace it. Who knows how long that car will last? All right, now we have beatific. It is an adjective from 1640. One, of possessing or imparting beatitude. That's a word, beatitude? Number 2, having a blissful appearance, as in a beatific smile. Beatifically is an adverb. This is from the Latin word beatificus, which means making happy. Well, that's a nice word. That is from the word beatus, which means happy, from the verb beare, which means to bless. Perhaps it is akin from the Latin, it says to the Latin, but I think it's from the Latin word bonus, which means good. And there's more at the word bounty. Now we have the word beatific vision. It is 2 words. Noun from 1702. The direct knowledge of God enjoyed by the blessed in heaven. We're going to move on to beatify. B-E-A-T-I-F-Y. It's not beautify, make something beautiful. It is beatify. Let's find out what it means. I assume it's something related to being happy. This is a verb from 1535. 1, to make supremely happy. I could use a little bit more beatification in my life. Number 2, to declare to have attained the blessedness of heaven and authorize the title blessed and limited public religious honor. And I wasn't even fully aware of this when I said it, but beatification is a noun. Let's see, this is from Middle French beatifiar, from the Latin beatificare, from the Latin beatus plus facere, which means to make. Facere is F-A-C-E-R-E. And beatus, as we learned from the previous, 2 words ago, that means happy. So that would mean to make happy. There's more at the word do, D-O, if you want more etymology information. Now we have the word beating. It is a noun from the 13th century. 1, an act of striking with repeated blows so as to injure or damage. Also, the injury or damage thus inflicted. Number 2, synonym is pulsation. And then number 3, synonyms are defeat and setback. Next is beating reed. 2 words. Noun from 1851. A reed in a musical instrument that vibrates against the edges of an air opening, as in a clarinet or organ pipe, to which it is attached, and compare to the word free reed. Don't know what a free reed is. As I've mentioned, I played the saxophone, which is a single reed instrument, and I've tried an oboe once, which is a double reed instrument, much more complicated, much harder to play, I think. But man, I really want to get back into that stuff. Okay, next we have beatitude. It is a noun from the 15th century. 1A, a state of utmost bliss. Isn't that the best? Number 1B, used as a title for a primate, especially of an Eastern church. A primate and a church in the same sentence, used as a title for a... That must be a different word, primate. Is it primate? Primate? What is that in relation to a church? I don't know. Number 2, any of the declarations made in the Sermon on the Mount, beginning in the AV... in the AV, I don't know what AV is, and then in quotes it says, blessed are. So from the Sermon on the Mount, beginning in the AV, blessed are. And then the Sermon on the Mount, it says in parentheses, MT 5:3-11. Stuff I don't know. That's beatitude. Next is beatnik. It is a noun from 1958. A person who participated in a social movement of the 1950s and early 1960s which stressed artistic self-expression and the rejection of the mores of conventional society. Broadly, a usually young and artistic person who rejects the mores of conventional society. I kind of like that idea, don't you? Now we have, just real quick, adults, if you're listening to this with kids, and I think there's at least one of you out there, you might want to fast forward 10 to 20 seconds. Ready, set, go. Next is beat off, 2 words. Verb from the 15th century. We have the synonym repel. Now we have the intransitive definition, which is usually vulgar, and we have the synonym masturbate, used of a male. Okay, I hope you're all back. You kids, or adults with kids, or you know what? Honestly, I hope you didn't fast forward if kids are around, because this is stuff that they should be learning about. The sooner the better, in a very open and loving way, and realistic and honest. Honest, that's the word I was looking for. Because, you know what, they're going to learn about the world eventually. So we are going to move on to beat out. It is a verb from 1588, and I think it's only transitive. Number 1, to make or perform by or as if by beating. Number 2, to mark or accompany by beating. Number 3, to turn a routine ground ball or a bunt into a hit in baseball by fast running to first base. So without the parentheses, it says, to turn into a hit in baseball by fast running to first base. Now we have Beatrice. It's the name Beatrice with a capital B. But I don't think that's what it's going to say. In fact, I take that back. There is another pronunciation, Beatrice. That is another way to pronounce the name Beatrice, because this is an Italian word. It is a noun from 1642. Beatrice, a Florentine woman idealized in Dante's Vita Nuova and Divina Commedia. So it is still technically a woman's name, but she is specifically, I guess, a famous character in 2 stories, novels, whatever you want to call them, because I don't know what they are, written by Dante. First one is Vita Nuova, and the second one is Divina Commedia. Now we have beat up with a hyphen. It is an adjective from 1863. Synonyms are dilapidated and shabby. Now we have the word beau, B-E-A-U. It is a noun from 1653. 1, we have the number 1 definition for the word dandy. And number 2, we have the number 2 definition for the word boyfriend. Next is Beau Brummel. First word is beau with a capital B. Second word is Brummel with a capital B, double M, double L. It is a noun from 1834. And then we have just the number 1 definition for the word dandy, just like the previous word. This is a nickname of the person G.B. Brummel. Still don't know who that is. Next we have beaucoup. Beau, and then C-O-U-P. It is one word. It is an adjective from circa 1918. It is slang, and it means great in quantity or amount. Synonyms are many and much. as in spent beaucoup dollars. Okay, now we have the last word of this episode, and let's make sure, no, it does not go on to the next page. It is Beaufort scale. Capital B-E-A-U-F-O-R-T. Next word, scale. It is a noun from 1856. A scale in which the force of the wind is indicated by numbers from 0 to 12. This is from Sir Francis Beaufort, and I can actually describe the scale to you. I can read it because it lists the whole scale. Okay, so there are columns. First column is Beaufort number, and it goes from 0 to 12. Then we have the name at that certain level. We have the wind speed, both in miles per hour and kilometers per hour. And then we have the description. So, Beaufort number 0, the name is calm. It is less than 1 mile per hour, also less than 1 kilometer per hour. And the description is calm. Smoke rises vertically. So pretty much no wind. Number 1 in the Beaufort scale is light air. In miles per hour, it is 1 to 3. Kilometers per hour is 1 to 5. I'll try and simplify that going forward. And that is a direction of wind shown by smoke, but not by wind vanes. So it's so slight that only smoke will move, not even wind vanes. Number 2, light breeze. 4 to 7 or 6 to 11. Wind felt on face, leaves rustle, wind vane moves. I hope you're paying attention because you are absolutely going to be required to memorize this going forward. Number 3, gentle breeze, 8 to 12 and 12 to 19. Leaves and small twigs in constant motion, wind extends light flag. Number 4, moderate breeze, 13 to 18 and 20 to 29. Wind raises dust and loose paper, small branches move. Number 5, fresh breeze, 19 to 24 and 30 to 39. This is small trees with leaves begin to sway. Crested wavelets form on inland waters. It sounds very poetic, actually. This should be turned into a poem. Number 6, strong breeze, 25 to 31 and 40 to 50. Large branches move. Overhead wires whistle. Umbrellas difficult to control. Number 7, moderate gale or near gale, 32 to 38 and 51 to 61. Whole trees sway. Walking against wind is difficult. Number 8, fresh gale or just gale, just the single word gale, 39 to 46 and 62 to 74. Twigs break off trees. Moving cars veer. Ooh, that is getting unsafe. Number 9, strong gale, 47 to 54 and 75 to 87. Slight structural damage occurs. Shingles may blow away. Very bad, very unsafe. Shingles are very heavy. You don't want to get hit with one. That is for sure. Number 10, whole gale or storm, 55 to 63, 88 to 102. Trees uprooted. Considerable structural damage occurs. You do not want to be out in these winds. I remember one day when I was in college, Columbia College in Chicago, and it was the windiest day I had ever experienced. Technically, it might not be the windiest day that I have since experienced because I was in Iowa City when a tornado came through. Luckily, I wasn't, like in the middle of it, but I was surprisingly close to it, actually. So I'm really curious to what the winds were that day in Chicago because little old ladies were falling over, and those little newsstands where you put in a quarter and get your paper, those things were falling over. Garbage cans were flying all over the place. Yeah, it was a rough day. Anyway, we got 2 more. 11 is storm or violent storm. 64 to 72 and 103 to 117. Widespread damage occurs. And then number 12, it says hurricane, and then there is an asterisk next to hurricane, and it says the U.S. uses 74 statute miles per hour as the speed criterion for a hurricane. So this description says greater than or equal to 73. but the U.S. uses 74 for miles per hour. And then the kilometers per hour is greater than or equal to 118. And then the description is widespread damage occurs, which is the exact same description as number 11. Once you hit hurricane or tropical storm or tornado, I think they have a whole other scale, category 1 through 5 or something. So yeah, those are the 13 types of wind. That is going to be the end of this episode. I want to pick something good. We'll just pick. We'll pick Beaufort scale as the word of the episode because that took up a good chunk of this, and it was also kind of interesting. Why don't you pick your own word of the episode? Send me a message. Tell me what you think the word of the episode should be. Thank you very much. I'm going to end this now. This has been Spencer dispensing information to you. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the podcast called The Dictionary. Yeah, I'm still at home. I'm working from home. I'm taking a little break in the middle of the day. My wife works from home, so she can hear everything that I'm saying, and usually I'm alone when I do this unless I have a guest who is actively involved, so this is very weird to me. So let's just get through the words real fast. All right, the first word is, it looks French. It is beau geste. I think that's how it's pronounced. First word, B-E-A-U. Second word, G-E-S-T-E. And it looks like it's pronounced geste because the pronunciation guide is spelled it Z-H-E-S-T. This is a noun from 1900. 1, a graceful or magnanimous gesture. Number 2, an ingratiating conciliatory gesture. Yeah, this is French. It literally means beautiful gesture. Beau geste. Next, we have beau ideal. Beau ideal. 2 words, same first word as the last one. Second word is I-D-E-A-L. This is a noun from 1786, the perfect type or model. Again, this is French, beau ideal, and it means ideal beauty. Now we have the word Beaujolais, capital B-E-A-U-J-O-L-A-I-S. I'm spelling a lot of these because, not everybody's familiar with French words, so you might want to know how to spell it. This is a noun from 1836, a light, fruity red Burgundy wine made from the Gamay grape. Gamay is G-A-M-A-Y. This is a French word, as I said, from Beaujolais, which is a region of eastern France. And then they call it a Beaujolais wine. Now we have Beaujolais Nouveau. So they've added the word nouveau as a second word, N-O-U-V-E-A-U. This is a noun from 1971, a Beaujolais wine that is released shortly after a grape harvest and is sold for immediate consumption. Not later consumption, immediate consumption. And then this is a French word that literally means new Beaujolais. So I'm not exactly sure why this is new opposed to the other one, which is old. Is it made with a new style? Is the style the fact that you need to drink it right away? Obviously, this was coined in 1971. The other one was 1836. So, what happened in 1971? All right, our next word is beau monde. Another French word. Second word is M-O-N-D-E. This is a noun from 1673. The world of high society and fashion. A world that I am not a part of. This is French, and it literally means fine world. Beau monde. Now we have the word beut. B-E-A-U-T. I believe there's another word that is pronounced the same way, B-U-T-T-E, but this one is basically the beginning of the word beautiful. It is the first form. It is a noun from 1866, and we just have the number 4 definition for the word beauty as the synonym, which we will be getting to at the end of this episode. Now we have the second form of beaut. It is an adjective from 1918. This is an Australian and New Zealand word, and the synonym is the number 2 definition for excellent. So if you want to sound Australian and New Zealand, New Zealand-y, Australian-y, and you want to say the word excellent, I guess you could say beaut. Any of my Australian and New Zealand listeners, please chime in whatever form you deem necessary. Now we have the word beauteous. It is an adjective from the 15th century. We have the synonym beautiful. You could also say beauteous. Beauteously is an adverb, and beauteousness is kind of a hard word to say, and it is a noun. Now we have the word beautician. It is a noun from 1924, and we have the synonym cosmetologist. Now, don't mistake that for the word cosmologist, because that's somebody who studies the cosmos and the universe and all that fun stuff. This is a cosmetologist, and it is made by combining the word beauty plus the suffix ician, I-C-I-A-N, beautician. Now we have the word beautiful. There's a whole bunch of synonym information. And let's get into the definition part. It is an adjective from the 15th century. 1, having qualities of beauty. Exciting aesthetic pleasure. Number 2, generally pleasing. Synonym is excellent. And beautifully is an adverb, and beautifulness is a noun. Now we have the synonym information. Beautiful, lovely, handsome, pretty, comely, or comely? Is it comely or comely? And fair mean exciting, sensuous, or aesthetic pleasure. Beautiful applies to whatever excites the keenest of pleasure to the senses and stirs emotion through the senses, as in beautiful mountain scenery. If you want to see some beautiful mountain scenery, I suggest that you take a trip to New Zealand whenever we can go travel again when this quarantine is over. Another amazing place, which is, arguably better, depending on how you look at it, is Iceland. They've got waterfalls and volcanoes and mountains and everything, and it's crazy amazing. Okay, more synonym information. Lovely is close to beautiful, but applies to a narrower range of emotional excitation in suggesting the graceful, delicate, or exquisite, as in a lovely melody. Handsome suggests aesthetic pleasure due to proportion, symmetry, or elegance, as in a handsome Gregorian mansion, or Georgian mansion, not Gregorian. That's different. Pretty often applies to superficial or insubstantial attractiveness, as in a painter of conventionally pretty scenes. Comely is like handsome in suggesting what is coolly approved rather than emotionally responded to, as in the comely grace of a dancer. And then finally, fair suggests beauty because of purity, flawlessness, or freshness, as in fair of face. Next is beautiful people. 2 words, noun from 1963, and it is often abbreviated or capitalized as B and P. Or maybe it's just saying that you can often capitalize the B and the P. So the definition is wealthy or famous people whose lifestyle is usually expensive and well publicized. I am not one of these people. Next is beautify. It is a verb from 1526. First, we have the transitive definition, to make beautiful or add beauty to. And then we have the intransitive definition, to grow beautiful. A synonym is the word adorn. Beautification is a noun, and beautifier is a noun. So the beautifier is the one who is beautifying the one who is being beautified, and they are doing the process of beautification. And then the last word for this episode is beauty, B-E-A-U-T-Y. This is a noun from the 14th century. Number 1, the quality or aggregate of qualities in a person or thing that gives pleasure to the senses or pleasurably exalts the mind or spirit. Synonym is loveliness. Number 2, a beautiful person or thing, especially a beautiful woman, aka my wife. Number 3, a particularly graceful, ornamental, or excellent quality. Number 4, a brilliant, extreme, or egregious example or instance, as in, that mistake was a beauty. And then number 5, we have the number 9 definition for the word bottom, B-O-T-T-O-M. And let's see, just real quick, one of our earlier words was butte, and the synonym was the number 4 definition for beauty, which is, just to remind you, a brilliant, extreme, or egregious example or instance. Ooh, that was a beaut. That mistake was a beaut. What should be the word of the definition? No, the word of the definition. No, the word of the episode. I kind of want to pick one of these French words. What was the one that I liked? It was Sharon is talking to me. What did you say? The wine? Beaujolais. Beaujolais will be the word of the episode because it is wine, and Sharon likes wine, especially red wine, a light, fruity red Burgundy wine made from the Gamay grape. I don't think we have any in the house right now. We might need to go pick some up if we can figure out how to do that during this crazy, crazy time. By the way, happy April 6th. This is, I'm recording this days earlier. And for any of you who care, I got a very, very nice message from a listener. I will just say that your name is Janelle. I won't give you your full name, but this was a Facebook message that she sent me. She said, "Hey, Spencer, I stumbled across this podcast back at the end of January. Just wanted to say how great it is. I truly appreciate all of your little anecdotes. I never imagined that I would laugh out loud so much while learning the dictionary. Thanks. Also, which dictionary you're reading from." So thank you, Janelle. That was extremely kind. As I said in my reply to you, you put a huge smile on my face. I am shocked that people are listening to this podcast at all. And I've been getting a few of these messages recently, so that really brightened my day. So thank you. I hope to all of you I hope you're all doing well and you're staying away from people and you're washing your hands. And like I've said before, if you can help somebody in any way, either helping a senior citizen go pick up their food, their medication, because it's a lot harder for them to leave the house, and if they are exposed to the coronavirus, it's a lot more likely that they're going to get it. Anybody who's immunosuppressed, and if you've got a few bucks to spare, help donate it to someplace in need, a restaurant. All restaurants are struggling. A lot of places are struggling right now. Just do what you can to help people in this very weird time. We haven't seen anything like this in probably over a century. So I'm guessing none of us were alive the last time something like this happened. So that's it. I want to thank you all for listening, and all the contact info is in the episode description if you want to say hi, rate and review. And until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Thanks and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the only podcast in the world where somebody is reading the dictionary. Oh boy, that is a phrase that I have said a lot. If you have any suggestions for a new phrase that I could say at the beginning, or just something fun, send me a message, send me an email, do whatever you want to do. Maybe, what is that podcast? Comedy Bang Bang. Maybe like on Comedy Bang Bang, I can read a new one every time if I get enough people sending in suggestions. But in the meantime, I'm just going to say what comes out of my mouth. Anything interesting to say today? I don't know. Probably not. I just bought a bike. Maybe I'll talk about that at the end. The first word of the episode is beauty berry. One word, Beautyberry. This is a noun from 1918. Any of a genus of deciduous shrubs and trees of the vervain family that bear dense clusters of small, usually purple berries and are often cultivated as ornamentals. Vervain is spelled like it sounds, Vervain. I don't know what the vervain family is, but if you want to learn it, you should go look it up. Maybe I'll put a link in the episode description. I think it's funny that it says it's part of the vervain family that bear dense clusters, etc. And if you want to learn more about the word bear, you can go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like 6 episodes or so. There was one episode that was all about the word bear, the first form and the second form. So I'm sure the proper definition was in one of those somewhere. The genus name for beautyberry is Callicarpa. Callicarpa. Okay. Next, we have beauty bush, 2 words, noun from 1926, a Chinese shrub of the honeysuckle family with pinkish flowers and bristly fruit. And the scientific name is, it's different than most of the scientific names I've seen. Not sure why. Colquitzia amabilis. And the first word is spelled Kolkwitzia. Colquitzia. Now we have beauty contest, 2 words, noun from 1886. 1. An assemblage of girls or women at which judges select the most beautiful, called also beauty pageant. I have lots of issues with this, but we don't need to get into that. Number 2. A presidential primary election in which the popular vote does not determine the number of convention delegates a candidate receives. Well, 4 years ago, we had something like this happen, and I think, 2000? 20 years ago, we had the same thing happen. The person who got the popular vote was not the one who won. So I don't really care for beauty contests. But it's from 1886, so I kind of want to see if I can find a picture of the earliest photo of a beauty contest, because I think that might be kind of funny to see. All right, now we have beauty mark, 2 words, noun from 1849, a small dark mark, as a mole, on the skin, especially of the face. Some famous beauty marks would be, I think, Madonna and Cindy Crawford. And, well, I don't know if you'd call it a beauty mark, but was it Al Pacino? No, Robert De Niro has a mole on his face. It was mentioned in Weird Al's song Frank's 2,000-inch TV. But I don't know if he would call it a beauty mark. He might just call it a mole. But it is a mole. But some people call it a beauty mark to make themselves feel better about it. Right? Is that what people do? It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is not about what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside. So it's just a thing on the skin that usually is harmless. But if it's not harmless, hey, you should go to the dermatologist. You should get yearly checkups. I'm partly saying this to myself. But yeah, I've had a couple of things removed that were questionable. So please go get your skin checked. All right, next we have beauty part, 2 words, noun from 1951, the most desirable or beneficial aspect of something. Next is beauty queen, 2 words, noun from 1893, a beautiful and glamorous woman or girl, specifically a winner of a beauty contest. Now we have beauty shop, 2 words, noun from 1890, an establishment or department where hairdressing, facials, and manicures are done, called also beauty parlor or beauty salon. And I relatively recently, learned about other things like eyebrow threading is a thing. I still don't totally understand that, but I guess that's a thing that people do to their eyebrows. Yes. Next is beauty spot, 2 words, noun from 1650. Number 1, we have the number 2 definition for the first form of the word patch, P-A-T-C-H. And then number 2, we just have the synonym beauty mark. So it could be a beauty mark, a beauty spot, I feel a sneeze coming on, and I think there's another phrase that people use. Is this sneeze? If I look at the sun, it goes away. Okay, that was fun. There's another phrase for, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Now we have beaux arts. Beau is spelled B-E-A-O. No, that's not how it's spelled. B-E-A-U-X. So this is a French word. B-E-A-U-X. Lots of vowels together. This is the first form of beaux arts. It's 2 words. It is a noun from 1753, and we just have the synonym fine arts. And it is French. Doesn't really give me much information other than the French form is spelled the same, but there's a hyphen. Now we have the second form of beaux arts. It is an adjective from 1878, characterized by the use of historic forms, rich decorative detail, and a tendency toward monumental conception in architecture. Well, this is a very high-level, highbrow form of thought that I cannot understand unless I get some more information. This is French from École des Beaux-Arts, which is the School of Fine Arts in Paris. Now we have the word, that was the second form. I think I said that. Now we have the first form of the word beaver, B-E-A-V-E-R. It is a noun from before the 12th century. This is an old word. Number one, 1A, well, let's see. I guess the one definitions, 1A and 1B, are saying that the plural form is just beaver again, not with an S, just beaver. So 1A, either of two large semi-aquatic herbivorous rodents comprising a family, there's a lot in parentheses, comprising a family having webbed hind feet and a broad, flat, scaly tail, and constructing dams and partially submerged lodges. So the part in parentheses says the family name is Castoridae, including Castor canadensis of North America and Castor fiber, just looks like the word fiber, and that is the one in Eurasia. So those are like the two main kinds of beavers, North America and Eurasia. And let's see, I don't know if we're going to get into this, so I'm trying to decide if I want to tell you this thing. Okay, well, I'll just tell you now. You may have noticed a word in the scientific name that was familiar, castor, C-A-S-T-O-R. There's a thing called castor oil. I'm not 100% sure if that is related or comes from a beaver, but there is something that comes from a beaver. It's from the castor gland, and it is called castoreum, and it is it's a liquid that is secreted from this castor gland that somehow somebody decided or figured out that they could use and put in food as a flavoring. I think it's for a vanilla flavoring. So if you see something that is vanilla flavored and says it has natural flavors on it in the ingredients or natural flavoring, it very well may contain castoreum, which comes from a beaver. Some of you probably don't care. Personally, I don't like that. I think it's gross, and I don't think it's very nice to the animal. We're not going to talk about this anymore, but this is a little piece of trivia that I learned a while ago, and I thought everybody should learn about that. That was fun. Now we go to 1B, the fur or pelt of the beaver. 2A, a hat made of beaver fur or a fabric imitation. 2B, synonym is silk hat. Number 3, a heavy fabric of felted wood or of cotton napped on both sides. And then number 4 is usually vulgar. And again, these are words in the dictionary. This is just how people talk. It is the pudenda of a woman. So I'm glad that they put this in a very scientific way, using a scientific word that probably most people, including myself, are not 100% familiar with. It's not like it gets used in everyday language. But so there you go. That was the first form of beaver. Let's see. Let's look at some etymology. Middle English, bever. So they took out the A. From Old English, beofor. I'm just saying these how they're spelled. Beofor. Akin to the Old High German bibar, which means beaver, and probably to the Old English brun, which means brown, and there's more at the word brown. And I think the word bear had the same brown thing. All right, now we have the second form of beaver. It is a noun from the 15th century. 1, a piece of armor protecting the lower part of the face. Number 2, a helmet visor. I had no idea that there was a piece of armor called the beaver, but I did read the description of the word armor when I was reading the A's and went through all the different pieces, so maybe I just don't remember that one being said. Well, now I kind of want to go back and look at the word armor and see if in the picture that's one of the words. We're almost there. We're changing. We're flipping pages. Where's that armor? Here's the armor. Armor, helmet, gorget, shoulder piece, pallet or palette, breastplate, brassard, elbow piece, skirt of tassels, tuile, gauntlet, cuisse, I don't know how to pronounce that, knee piece, jambeau, and soleret. Well, beaver was not on there, so that's new to me. All right, now we have the third form of beaver. It is a verb, an intransitive verb from 1946, to work energetically. And as in, beavering away at the problem. Sorry for the pause there. I heard some floor creaking, and I looked over, and it was just my cat walking around. Now we have beaver board, one word, noun from 1903. A fiberboard used for partitions and ceilings. So this is from beaver board, which is a trademark. Next is beaver tail, one word, noun from 1919. A low-growing prickly pear cactus of the southwestern U.S. and northern Mexico, having large, usually pink or red flowers. The scientific name is Opuntia. It goes over to the second line. Opuntia basilaris. Now we have bebop, B-E-B-O-P. It is a noun from 1942, and we just have the number one definition for the third form of the word bop. Bebopper is a noun. This is the weird story. I think I'm the only person on the planet who has this in my brain, which would make sense, actually. I remember walking with some friends in high school, and I don't know why. This is the thing that I think of when I think of the word bebop, so this is why I'm telling you this stupid story. I don't know if what we were talking about, who said it, but it was something about, is bebop short for anything? Maybe there was some other form of music that was short for something else that we had mentioned, and then somebody thought of bebop, and we said, is it short for something? And I think me or somebody said, yeah, it's short for bebop, bahooba dooba. And then when the person said that, I think they tripped or their foot did something, and they hurt their foot. Honestly, it could have been me for all I know. And so then at the end of the phrase, they said, ow. So it was bebop, bahooba dooba, ow. And it just became the whole thing. And so that is what I think of when I think of the word bebop. And I hope that all of you now think of that stupid, stupid story whenever you hear bebop. And you say, bebop, bahooba dooba, ow. Okay, now we have BEC, all caps. It is an abbreviation for Bureau of Employees Compensation. I wonder if this... they're probably getting a lot of business now because we are still in quarantine. Here in Illinois, we have been pushed back to April 30th. We are quarantined until April 30th. And so the Bureau of Employees Compensation is probably busy. Okay, now we have becalm, B-E-C-A-L-M. It is a transitive verb from 1582. 1A, to keep motionless by lack of wind. 1B, to stop the progress of. To stop the progress of. Number 2, to make calm. And a synonym is soothe. Now we have the word because. Oh, there's a few ways to say this. Because, 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 because. 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 How do you say the word? This is one of those words that a lot of people say different ways, and sometimes it bugs me a little bit, but you know what? People talk different, so it's okay. This is a conjunction from the 14th century. 1, for the reason that. Synonym is since, as in rested because he was tired. Number 2, the fact that. And then a synonym is the word that. As in, the reason I haven't been fired is because my boss hasn't gotten around to it yet. The reason I haven't been fired is because my boss hasn't gotten around to it yet. That is a quote from E.B. White. I think E.B. White wrote Charlotte's Web. Am I mistaken? Not sure, but I think that's right. Maybe I'll see if I can find where this quote is from if I feel so motivated. Let's see, Middle English. From the phrases because that, or just because, from the phrase by cause that. So it's interesting. I think, yeah, it looks like it is saying that it was by cause that, and then the by cause became because, one word, and then they just got rid of the that. Maybe I'll look at that Edom Online webpage to see if they have any more information. Now we have the phrase because of. It is a preposition from the 14th century, by reason of. on account of. Sorry for my stories. This is a long episode. Okay, we're almost there. Next is the word bechamel. Bechamel. And then that first E has an accent. It is a noun from 1789, a rich white sauce. This is French from the sauce bechamel, spelled a little different, from Louis de Bechamel, who died in 1703, and he was a French courtier. What is a courtier? I've heard it, but I don't know what it is. Is that something with cooking? All right, the last word is bechance. Bechance, or bechance. It is a verb from 1527. It is archaic, and we just have the synonym befall. So many good words in this episode. We are going to pick the one that was the favorite of everybody. I'm going to have to pick bebop because of reasons that have to do with my story. So that's all the words. If you want to know, just right before I recorded this, I went and bought a new bike. I had a bike that I bought from a friend that was very old, probably 40 or 50 years old. So it was fine. It works. I got it slightly tuned up, but we went for a ride a couple days ago, and it was just not. I wasn't loving it. And so I bought a new bike, and I took it around for a short little ride to make sure it was good, and I think it is good, and it is a multi-speed cruiser bike, and I like it, and now that the weather is getting nicer, I think we're going to start going out on more bike rides. That is my story. I am glad you listened. So glad. Sorry for the long episode. Let's see if the next one will be shorter. But who knows? If something comes up that I got to say something about, I'm just going to say it. Because I just say whatever comes to mind, pretty much, mostly. All right, this has been Spencer dispensing information to your brains. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the podcast called The Dictionary. This is my podcast, and I'm the host, and I haven't had a guest for a while, but maybe someday I will, when we're out of quarantine. Unless Sharon wants to be a guest. She can be a guest. But in the meantime, you should go listen to her podcast called Whores Talk Horror, and they talk about horror movies and the paranormal and creepy things, true crime, serial killers. If you like any of that stuff, you should go listen to her podcast with her friend Mindy, and I sometimes say stuff too. The first word for this episode is bêche de mer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It is spelled BECHE-DE-MER. And over the first E, we have a little accent. It's the one that looks like a carrot or a hat. However you want to say that. This is a noun from 1783. One is, the plural is bêche de mer or bêches de mer. And we just have the synonym trepang. 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 Oh, this is an interesting word. Okay, number 2 would be capitalized with a B and the M is capitalized. This is any of several English-based pidgins spoken on islands of the Western Pacific. I think pidgins, Pidgins, is it, I think it's like not a language per se, but it's languagey, English-based something. And then, so that's it for the definitions, but the etymology says this is French. It is an alternative of biche, B-I-C-H-E, biche de mer, from the Portuguese word bicho do mar, which literally means sea worm. So I don't know if a trepang is a sea worm or how sea worm is connected to all of this, but that is that. Now we have the word beck, B-E-C-K, first form, transitive definition from the 13th century, archaic, and we just have the synonym beckon, which we will be getting to shortly. Now we have the second form of beck. It is a noun from the 14th century. Number 1 is chiefly Scottish. We have the synonyms bow or bow, probably bow, and curtsy. 2A, a beckoning gesture. 2B, synonyms are summons and bidding. We have a phrase, at one's beck and call. So I think this probably often gets mistaken for at one's beckon, call, but it is at one's beck and call. And this means ready to obey one's command immediately. Now we have the third form of beck. It is a noun from the 14th century. It is British, and we have the number 2 definition for the word creek as the synonym. Creek. Okay, this is Middle English, beck, from the Old Norse becker, akin to the Old English bake, B-A-E-C, which means brook, from the Old High German ba, B-A-H, from the Lithuanian bekti, or begti, which means to flee, and there's more at the word phobia, of all things. Phobia? What are you doing to me, dictionary? Okay, now we have Becker muscular dystrophy. Becker is capital B-E-C-K-E-R. It is a noun from 1972, a less severe form of Duchenne muscular dystrophy marked by later onset and slower progression of the disease, called also Becker's muscular dystrophy. So this is interesting. They put I don't know if this is a mistake. I think it was a mistake. It looks like there's an extra dot or a space or something between the K and the E in Becker's. It seems weird. Okay, this is from Peter Emil Becker, who was born in 1908, who was a German, or is a German geneticist. So if they didn't give me a death date, maybe, or death year, maybe he's still alive. Although this book is a little old, so maybe he's passed away since then. But yeah, there's Becker muscular dystrophy and Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Next is the word Beckett. It is a noun from circa 1769, a device for holding something in place, as a grommet or a loop of rope with a knot at one end to catch in an eye at the other. B, a ring of rope or metal. And C, a loop of rope, as for a handle. And that's all for that one. Now we have beckon. It is a verb from before the 12th century. We are going to start with intransitive. Number 1, to summon or signal, typically with a wave or nod. Number 2, to appear inviting. Synonym is attract, as in the frontier beckons. Now we have the transitive definition, which just says to beckon to. Beckon is also a noun. This is Middle English, becknen, from the Old English bieknan, B-I-E-C-N-A-N, from biaken, B-E-A-C-E-N, which means sign, and there's more at beacon. I guess that's what that biaken, B-E-A-C-E-N, it might be pronounced beacon. Okay, next is becloud. It's the word cloud with the word be, B-E, at the front. It is a transitive definition from 1600. 1, to obscure with or as if with a cloud. To obscure with or as if with a cloud. Number 2, to prevent clear perception or realization of. Synonym is muddle, M-U-D-D-L-E, as in prejudices that becloud his judgment. Next we have become. This is a verb from before the 12th century. We start with the intransitive definitions. 1a, to come into existence. 1b, to come to be, as in become sick. Well, we don't want anybody to become sick, especially these days. Number 2, to undergo change or development. Now we have the transitive definitions. To be suitable to, as in seriousness becoming the occasion. And then it says especially to be becoming to, as in her clothes become her. We have a phrase, become of, and that means to happen to, as in wondering whatever became of old friends. Well, you can just look at Facebook and find out what happened to them, most likely. Let's see, this is Middle English. It means to come, to come to or become. And this is from Old English, bekuman, from be plus kuman, which means to come. Okay, now we have the word becoming. It is an adjective from the 15th century. Synonyms are suitable and fitting, especially the definition attractively suitable, as in becoming modesty. I guess the inflection, the intonation would be a little bit different. Becomingly is an adverb. And now we are on our last word for this episode. It is the word bed, B-E-D. It is the first form. We are going to read the second form in the next episode. It is a noun from before the 12th century. There's a bunch of definitions. 1A, a piece of furniture on or in which to lie and sleep. 1B1, actually, a place of sex relations. What a sterile way to say that. A place of sex relations. 1B2, no, that's not that word. Marital relationship. 1B3, close association. Synonym is cahoots. What a great word, cahoots. As in, a legislator in bed with lobbyists. Now we have 1C, a place for sleeping. 1D, synonym is sleep. Also, a time for sleeping, as in, took a walk before bed. Now we have 1E1, a mattress filled with soft material. 1E2, synonym is bedstead. It's the word bed and then S-T-E-A-D. Next is 1F, the equipment and services needed to care for one hospitalized patient or hotel guest. Next is 2, a flat or level surface, as 2A, a plot of ground prepared for plants. Also, the plants grown in such a plot. 2B, the bottom of a body of water, especially an area of sea bottom supporting a heavy growth of a particular organism, as in an oyster bed. Number 3, a supporting surface or structure. Synonym is foundation. Number 4, we just have the synonyms layer and stratum. 5A, the place or material in which a block or brick is laid. 5B, the lower surface of a brick, slate, or tile. Number 6, a mass or heap resembling a bed, as in a bed of ashes. Also as in served on a bed of lettuce. And then finally we have a phrase in bed, and that definition says in the act of sexual intercourse. And I think I mentioned this before. Yeah, I definitely did. There is a podcast called In Bed with Nick and Megan, and you should go listen to it because it's great. All right, so we are going to pick a word of the episode, and we will just pick Becker muscular dystrophy because there are people out there who have this, and that is a problem. It sucks for them. So I want to give a little bit more exposure to people with that. Maybe you can go donate to an organization or something like that. That's all I'm going to say. Other than this has been Spencer dispensing information. Thank you and goodbye.